Hey, moon dancers. We are in this magnificent bubble of transformation, of potential, of excitement, and also intensity. The July 29th, 2026 full moon and Jupiter Cazimi. You can think of this really as a rare threshold of power, purpose, and heart-led expansion. This week, the astrology is bonkers. It is unlike anything at all that we've experienced all year. On Wednesday, July 29th, according to Western astrology, this full moon is in the sign of Aquarius, and it rises as the sun joins Jupiter in Leo, making a rare and radiant alignment that's known as a Jupiter Cazimi. So many astrologers are calling this the most powerful full moon of the year and arguably the luckiest day of 2026. Well, astrology never guarantees a particular outcome. This is undeniably one of the year's most expansive, illuminating, and transformational energetic windows. The full moon perfects at around 9:36 a.m. Central Time, and it's directly opposing the sun and Jupiter in the sign of Leo. The moon also stands really close to Pluto in Aquarius, and this just intensifies the themes of power, identity, emotional truth, and collective transformation. So, this is really a celestial crossroads between the heart's true calling and the weight of collective expectation, authentic influence, and empty power. The desire to be seen and the deeper longing to serve something meaningful, performance and presence, applause and integrity. This is not simply a moment for wishing upon the moon or trying to manifest more. It is an invitation to become more honest about what you desire, why you desire it, and what truly deserves your devotion right now. The sky is asking, can you stand in your light without abandoning your center? The cosmic events really shaping this powerful week. The full moon on July 29th does not arrive in isolation. It is the luminous crest of the entire week of astrological turning points. So on July 26th, Saturn stationed retrograde in Aries, and that really began a period of reviewing our own responsibilities, structures, and relationship with self-leadership. The sun in Leo opposes Pluto in Aquarius, revealing where ego, authority, and influence may have become distorted. The lunar nodes also began shifting onto the Leo Aquarius axis, opening a new collective chapter that will shape the upcoming eclipse cycle that will be starting, I believe, August 12th. On July 27th, the sun formed supportive connections with Neptune and Uranus, weaving together imagination, spiritual insight, creativity, and unexpected possibility. On July 28th rather, Venus squares Mars. So this brings tension between desire and action, connection and independence, and discernment and impulse. Then on July 29th, everything reaches a crescendo. The moon becomes full in Aquarius, Western astrology. The sun joins Jupiter in Leo. The full moon conjoins Pluto. The heart meets the collective, and expansion meets transformation. Light enters the underworld and reveals what has been waiting there. By the time we reach this full moon, we may already feel something is moving. It's often said that, several days before the full moon and several days after the full moon, we feel its energetic effects and we feel the impacts. So maybe a truth is beginning to surface. Maybe a desire is growing louder. Maybe an old identity may feel too small to inhabit. And this, my friends, is the week of release, of revelation, and of courageous realignment. The Western astrological perspective, the Aquarius full moon, you can think of this as the courage to belong without abandoning yourself. So every single full moon represents culmination, illumination, and emotional revelation cultures world over. Something that's been developing beneath the surface reaches its fullness. What was hidden becomes visible. What was vague begins to take form. We see more clearly what is working, what is complete, and what can no longer continue unchanged. This full moon activates the polarity between Leo and Aquarius. Leo is ruled by the sun, and it speaks to the sovereign heart. It represents creativity, courage, vitality, play, self-expression, leadership, and the willingness to be seen. Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn, and in modern astrology, it's also associated with Uranus. It speaks to community, collective evolution, social structures, future vision, liberation, and the courage to challenge what has become stagnant. So Leo asks, what wants to shine through me? And Aquarius asks, how can that light contribute to something greater than me? Leo reminds us that we are each singular, and Aquarius reminds us that we are interconnected. Leo wants to create from the heart. Aquarius wants to transform the world those creations enter. So the work of this full moon is not to choose one side, but rather it's to integrate them. You do not have to erase your individuality to belong. You do not have to make yourself smaller to be accepted. You do not have to perform a version of yourself that feels easier for others to understand. But neither are you being asked to shine merely for attention. This full moon asks you to become visible in a way that is rooted in purpose. It asks you to lead without dominating, to influence without manipulating, and to contribute without abandoning yourself. To stand apart when necessary, while remembering that none of us awakens alone. This full moon is conjunct the planet Pluto. It's kind of the meeting of power beneath the performance. The moon's closeness to Pluto gives this lunation its depth and intensity. Pluto is a planet that's associated with the underworld, with transformation, power, compulsion, death, rebirth, and the hidden forces that shape us. When Pluto touches the moon, buried emotional material may rise more forcefully. So feelings that may have been suppressed may become impossible to ignore. Power dynamics may become clearer. Attachment to approval, control, recognition, or belonging may be exposed. We may become aware of the difference between being influential and simply appearing powerful. Pluto asks us to look beneath the polished exterior. Where are you leading from insecurity? Where are you seeking recognition because you do not yet feel rooted within yourself? Where have you confused control with safety? Where have you surrendered your authority to a group, teacher, ideology, relationship, or expectation? And where have you remained silent to preserve belonging? This energy may feel incredibly intense, but Pluto does not excavate without purpose. It brings hidden material to the surface so that it can be transformed. The full moon becomes a lantern lowered into the underground chambers of the psyche. What it reveals is not meant at all to punish you. It's actually meant to set you free. The Jupiter Cazimi in Leo, this is the great benefic entering the heart of the sun. And this occurs on the same day as the full moon. The sun meets Jupiter in Leo. In traditional astrology, a planet extremely close to the sun is often considered overwhelmed by the sun's rays. But when a planet reaches the precise heart of the sun, it enters a rare condition known as a Cazimi. The word Kazimi comes through the Arabic astrological tradition, and it refers to a planet being held within the heart of the sun. Rather than being scorched, the planet is symbolically enthroned. Its significations become illuminated, purified, and empowered. And the planet Jupiter is known as the Great Benefic. It's associated with wisdom, growth, generosity, faith, prosperity, protection, opportunity, justice, teachers, philosophy, and the ability to perceive a larger meaning within our lives. When Jupiter enters the heart of the sun, many astrologers view it as a potent opening for renewal, for vision, and for expansion. But Jupiter does not simply make everything present. Jupiter makes things larger. It can expand courage, wisdom, and possibility. It can also reveal inflated egos, exaggerated promises, and the consequences of growth without integrity. This distinction is especially important because the Jupiter Cazimi occurs in Leo while opposing Pluto in Aquarius. So the question is not merely how much power can you hold, The question is, what will you do with the power you are given? Jupiter in Leo is the expansion of the heart. Leo is the sun's own sign. It's associated with warmth, vitality, creative intelligence, generosity, courage, and the desire to live from the heart. Jupiter in Leo encourages us to believe in our gifts, to create more boldly, to become more generous with our presence, to take up space our purpose requires, to remember that joy itself can be sacred. And yet, the highest expression of Leo is not performance for applause. It is radiant self-possession. Healthy Leo does not need to dominate the room. It warms the room. It does not need to create to prove its worth. It creates because life is moving through it. It does not demand worship. It inspires others to remember their own light. So this Cazimi may illuminate where you're ready to share your work more visibly, begin or expand a heart-centered offering, maybe accept a leadership role, to teach, guide, or mentor, to celebrate a meaningful milestone, to speak a truth you've been carrying quietly, to trust your own creative instincts, to ask for greater support or compensation, to take a courageous step toward a larger vision, or maybe reclaim joy after a season of heaviness. This is the beautiful energy for planting intentions around purpose, creativity, leadership, and contribution. But the full moon and Pluto add a sacred condition, if you will. What you call in must be aligned with who you are becoming, not who you have been performing. So what you call in must be aligned with who you are becoming, not who you have been performing. A little Hellenistic reflection on fortune and choice. In ancient Hellenistic astrology, Jupiter is associated with abundance, justice, wisdom, faith, and the kind of support that helps life grow. But ancient astrology did not reduce fate to positive thinking. It recognized that life is shaped through a mysterious conversation between circumstance, timing, character, and choice. There are moments when doors open. There are moments when the winds shift. There are moments when something previously impossible becomes available. Yet we still have to decide whether we walk through the opening with integrity. This is the deeper meaning of an auspicious transit. It is not a promise that everything will happen exactly as we desire, but rather it's an invitation to participate consciously in a meaningful moment. The Jupiter Cazimi may bring opportunities, revelations, or a renewed sense of possibility. And the full moon may show us what must be released to receive them. Fortune may arrive as an offer, a decision, a realization, a conversation, a surge of courage, a clearer understanding of your path. or the unmistakable knowing that you can no longer betray yourself to maintain a life that has become too small. Now, the Vedic perspective, this full moon is in the nakshatra of Shravana. And this Vedic perspective is from the sidereal zodiac. And this full moon falls in the sign of Capricorn in the Shravana nakshatra. So a nakshatra is the lunar mansions, the lunar constellations in the sky. There's 27 of them. And this particular nakshatra, Shravana means hearing or the one who listens. Its primary symbol is the ear, and its presiding deity is Vishnu. And Vishnu is the great preserver of the cosmic order. He's the one who sustains life and restores harmony when balance has been lost. This adds a quieter, more contemplative layer to the fiery Western astrology of the moment. Western astrology emphasizes visibility, leadership, and heart-centered expression, where Vedic astrology, Shravana, is reminding us that before we speak, lead, or act, we must first listen. Listen to the body, listen to the breath, listen to the wisdom carried through tradition. Listen to what is being communicated beneath words, and listen to the quiet knowing that remains when performance falls away. Shravana is associated with learning through sacred sound, oral tradition, mantra, music, storytelling, and attentive presence. This is not passive listening. It is a disciplined receptivity. It is the kind of listening that allows wisdom to penetrate the mind and reorganize our way of living. Under this full moon, the question becomes, can you become quiet enough to hear the guidance already moving through you? Can you become quiet enough to hear the guidance already moving through you? Vishnu and the three steps. One of the ancient symbols connected with Shravana is Vishnu's three great strides across the universe. These three steps can be contemplated as the movement through earth, atmosphere, heaven, body, mind, spirit, the known, the threshold, the mystery beyond it. This mythology reminds us that spiritual growth rarely occurs in one enormous leap, but rather it unfolds through sacred steps, each one widening our perspective. Under this full moon, you may not need the entire map. You may only need to hear the next true step and then take it. The sun and Jupiter in Pusha Nakshatra, well, the full moon occupies Shravana Nakshatra. The sidereal sun and Jupiter gather in Cancer within the Pushu chakra. Now, this nakshatra is one of the most auspicious in all of Vedic astrology. Its name carries meaning related to nourishment, flourishing, and the ability to strengthen what is worthy of growth. Its symbols include the nourishing udder of a cow, a flower, and an arrow. The deity is known as the guru or priest of the gods. It's closely connected with wisdom, spiritual teaching, sacred counsel, and Jupiterian intelligence. This creates an extraordinary Vedic dialogue. The moon in Sharvana listens, and the sun and Jupiter in Pusha nourishes. The wisdom is received through listening and then strengthened through care. This is not expansion for expansion's sake. Pushya asks, what are you feeding? What are you teaching? What are you allowing to grow through your intention? What are you allowing to grow through your attention? What are you nourishing with your time, devotion, and life force? Under this combination, genuine abundance may be less about acquiring more, and rather more about tending what is sacred. A relationship, a calling, a community, a spiritual practice, a body of work, a home, a child, a truth that has finally begun to take root. Well, the full moon in the mind, in Vedic astrology, the moon is closely connected to manas, the sensory and emotional mind. As the moon becomes full, its light and symbolic influence reach a peak. The mind may become more receptive, intuitive, and sensitive. Energy that has been stagnant may begin to move. There's a reason people have always felt the full moon. Even before modern calendars, electric light, human beings watched the moon swell night after night. Its growing brightness shaped ritual, agricultural, travel, sleep, and communal life. Whether we consciously notice it or not, we are still creatures of rhythm. The full moon can illuminate what the mind has been carrying. It may heighten inspiration and intuition. It may also amplify restlessness, emotion, or overstimulation. The practice is not to fear that sensitivity. It is to give it direction through breath, movement, mantra, meditation. We draw upon the reservoir of energy already living within us. The body fills with prana, with life force. The mind settles into deeper stillness. The static begins to clear. And beneath all the noise, we remember what it feels like to be ourselves. The crossroads of leadership and integrity. The astrological significance of this week really places a profound crossroads between the heart's true calling and the pressure of collective expectation. Leo wants to express. Aquarius observes the collective. Jupiter expands. Pluto exposes. Sharvana listens. Pushya nourishes. Together, these archetypes ask us to examine the quality of our leadership. Leadership does not always mean standing on a stage or managing a group. You lead each time you choose what energy you will bring into a room. You lead through how you parent. how you teach, how you respond when challenged, how you hold power, how you treat those who cannot offer you anything, how you remain connected to your values when recognition becomes available. This is a moment for discerning authentic influence from empty power. Empty power needs to be seen as powerful. Authentic influence is rooted in integrity. Empty power performs certainty. Authentic influence remains willing to listen. Empty power gathers followers. Authentic influence helps others trust themselves. Empty power demands devotion. Authentic influence understands that devotion must remain freely chosen. The quiet strength of this week is the ability to return to your center when the world demands your performance. Well, the Ayurvedic perspective, tending the fire without feeding the flames. Late July carries the intensity of Pitta season. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. It's been hot as fuck. We just got back from Colorado. I lived in Colorado for almost 5 years, and this is the hottest Colorado has been in years. It was 100 plus down in the valley of Denver, and then 90 up in the mountains, which is just so unheard of. But we are in the intensity of Pitta season. Pitta is fire, 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 heat, heat, heat. Pitta is primarily fire, but also a little bit of water. And you can think of Pitta, it governs digestion, metabolism, discernment, vision, ambition, and transformation. When balanced, Pitta supports courage, focus, healthy leadership, clear perception, purposeful action, strong digestion, radiance, and confidence. Well, when Pitta is aggravated, which potentially you could be feeling these, it may appear as irritability, perfectionism, judgment, inflammation, overworking, excessive heat, control, burnout, impatience, difficulty resting, and also indigestion issues. The Leo fire of the Jupiter Cazimi can feel really invigorating, but it may also amplify the tendency to push, prove, or overextend. The Aquarius full moon may overstimulate the nervous system, while Pluto can bring deeply held emotional material to the surface. The Ayurvedic invitation is not to extinguish the fire. It is to tend to it wisely. Let your fire become illumination rather than combustion. Let it become courage instead of aggression, discernment instead of criticism, purpose instead of pressure. Supportive Ayurvedic practices, I would recommend favoring cooling, hydrating, and grounding foods. Think cucumber, cilantro, mint, coconut, melons, sweet berries, leafy greens, avocado, rose, fennel, coriander, basmati rice, mung beans, ghee in moderation. And for the love of goddess, drink plenty of water. Water, water, water. And consider cooling herbal infusions. You could do rose, mint, coriander, or fennel. And if you can, reduce excessive alcohol, spicy, like heat, spicy foods, heavy fried meals, and overly acidic foods if you already feel overwhelmed or irritable. Spend time near water, take a slow moonlit walk, massage the feet with coconut oil before bed, turn down the lights earlier in the evening, and leave white space around your rituals rather than turning spirituality into another task to complete perfectly. This is not the week to burn yourself out trying to harness every ounce of cosmic energy. The medicine is receptive. The medicine is receptivity. Now, the yogic wisdom is moving from performance into presence. Yoga reminds us that the deepest self does not need to be manufactured, it must be uncovered. Beneath the roles, expectations, fears, and strategies of the personality lives a quieter intelligence. The full moon illuminates what obscures it. The Jupiter Cazimi reminds us that this inner light is not small. A supportive practice for this lunation should help you feel expansive without becoming ungrounded, open without becoming depleted, and energized without becoming overstimulated. Move in a way that allows breath to remain sovereign. Let the practice be a conversation with your body rather than a performance imposed upon it. Kundalini practices for this full moon. And the practice of Kundalini yoga works directly with prana, attention, breath, rhythm, and the energetic body. So Kundalini is a really beautiful practice to do around the full moon because the energy may feel already abundant. So the goal is not necessarily to create more activation, but rather to circulate it, to direct and integrate what is already present. Supportive practices may include Nadi Shodanon, alternate nostril breathing. This balances the left and the right energetic channels and can help settle an overstimulated mind. You can practice this for 3 to 11 minutes. You'll close off one nostril, inhale through the other, close that nostril, exhale through the opposite nostril, inhale through that same nostril, close it off, exhale. Super rhythmic breath that is available to do for mostly any body. Now, spinal flexes are incredible right now. Think seated cat cow on the hands and knees, rolling out through the torso, some sidioms, and let yourself move slowly with the breath to awaken the spinal current and encourage stagnant energy to circulate. Radiance Charger. This practice can help clear mental congestion and reconnect you with the spaciousness beyond the constructed identity. Practice gently, especially if you already feel overheated. Now, Breath of Fire, I think, has this misunderstanding around it that it has to be sharp, quick, and intense. And it can absolutely be that and do that for us. But it can also be really gentle and light and circulating. And so when you're doing Radiance Charger, because we're in this kind of peak of Pitta, if you can slow it down and lighten it up and make it a little bit more rhythmic, it'll have a greater impact on your physical body, your mental body, your spiritual body. The Kirtan Kriya is the Kriya that uses the mantra Satanama. The Kirtan Kriya really invites contemplation of the cycles of birth, life, transformation, and rebirth. It's particularly resonant beneath a Pluto-infused full moon. I have a recording of the Kirtan Kriya that I will tag here. You can also search it on whatever streaming platform that you use, and you can sing along or chant along with the music. It's usually done in about a 12-minute increment, and you move the hands, the fingers along with the Kriya. It's really powerful. It's probably one of the most studied kriyas of all of Kundalini yoga and potentially all of yoga. And so I encourage you to practice that. Check the notes for a link to learn all about the literal magnificence of this powerful kriya. Now, long satnams or rolling ohms would also be a really beautiful practice. You can meditate on the mantra Sat Nam, meaning truth is my identity, or you can meditate on the mantra Om. Really let the sound here become an anchor beneath every role you have learned to perform. Mantra and sacred listening. Because this full moon falls in Shravana Nakshatra, it's an especially potent time to chant, to sing, to listen to the harmonium, the gong, the steel tongue drum, the guitar, to practice mantra, or to simply sit within intentional silence. Do not rush. Do not fill every quiet space. The silence may be carrying the teaching. Now, a tantric perspective is that nothing is outside the path. So, Tantra does not ask us to escape the intensity of life. It asks us to meet life so fully that even intensity becomes a doorway. The desire to be seen, the fear of rejection, the hunger for power, the ache to belong, the longing to create, the grief of outgrowing an identity. None of these experiences need to be banished from the spiritual path. They are part of the path. And tantric practice teaches us to recognize consciousness within every sensation, emotion, and experience. Under this full moon, instead of immediately trying to transcend what arises, enter into relationship with it. Where does ambition live in the body? What sensation accompanies the desire to be recognized? What happens in your chest when you imagine being fully visible? What contracts when you think of disappointing others? What expands when you imagine living without apology? Stay close to the sensation. Breathe into it. Let it reveal the intelligence it carries. The goal is not to destroy the ego. The goal is to stop allowing the ego to impersonate the soul. A really beautiful full moon ritual. Release, listen, and receive. You can grab a candle, a bowl of water, a journal and a pen, an object from nature. You could grab rose petals, herbs, flowers, and you could maybe turn on some mantra music, harmonium, guitar, piano, whatever you're vibing, and create a sacred space. Dim the lights and place the bowl of water near your candle. Now, the candle represents the sun, Jupiter, and the light of awareness. The water represents the moon, the emotional body, and your capacity to receive. Place your natural object beneath them as a reminder that you are the meeting place of fire and water, heaven and earth, spirit and form. Then move the energy. Practice 5 to 15 minutes, even longer if you can, of intuitive movement. Circle the hips, roll the shoulders, move the spine, shake the arms and the legs. Let the body release what the mind has been trying to manage. Do not choreograph the experience. Let your body lead. And I know it will bring up feelings of vulnerability. And that is exactly what needs to surface up. Move your body however your body wants to be moved. Put the ego in the back seat and allow your heart to take over and enjoy. I watch my babies, they're 5 and 3, just move their bodies and dance and wiggle. And it's so beautiful and it's so pure and it's so playful. We have that ability to go back to that state. And that's what this full moon is encouraging us to do, to remove all the conditioning and allow ourselves to come back into the playfulness, the sacredness of the heart. Breathe. Practice alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodanan, for 3-ish minutes, longer if you'd like. And then allow your breath to become natural. And then notice and sit in the silence that follows. Release. The next step is to write down what you're ready to release beneath this full moon. Consider roles you no longer wish to perform, fear of being seen, dependence on approval, power dynamics that drain your energy, beliefs that keep you small, commitments that no longer reflect your values, and versions of success that do not feel like your own. Read the list quietly. Place your hands over the page and say, I honor what these patterns once protected. I release what no longer belongs to the life I'm creating. And then tear that bad boy into a bunch of pieces. And then dispose of it safely or soak it in the bowl of water. We then listen. Sit in silence for at least 5 minutes, longer if you can. And instead of asking for an immediate answer, become receptive. Listen to the sounds around you. Listen to your breath. Listen to the sensations in your body. Listen beneath thought. And ask, what is life trying to teach me now? And then we receive. Turn to a fresh page and write, I am ready to receive, and let the words come without editing. Name what you want to nourish, not merely what you wish to acquire. And to close, place one hand on your heart, one on your solar plexus, the belly, and repeat 3 times. My light is rooted in truth. My power is guided by integrity. And what is meant to grow through me is already awakening. Pour the ritual water into the earth. And enjoy the magic of this ritual. A Jupiter Cazimi ritual you could do are the 12 seeds of expansion. Because Jupiter completes a cycle through the zodiac in approximately 12 years, the number 12 carries a natural resonance with Jupiter. Write 12 intentions, blessings, or possibilities that you are ready to cultivate. They may relate to purpose, creativity, leadership, community, relationships, spiritual growth, home, work, prosperity, health, learning, and joy. For each intention, write one grounded action you can take. Jupiter may open the horizon, but embodiment is what turns possibility into a lived path. Choose one action to begin within the next several days, and then actually fucking do it. We do all of this work, all this journaling, all this reflection, and we have this grand plan and these ideas to take action, and then it just fizzles out. And so choose one action to begin and then do it over the next several days. Hold yourself accountable and do it. Now, I have so many journal prompts for you that I will link from the blog post that accompanies this podcast episode. And I really encourage you to go in, read through the material again, let it resonate. You can highlight what speaks to you, and then move through these journal prompts. I've offered several reflection prompts throughout our time together, and there's so many more for you to consider and contemplate. So grab your journal, your notebook. Maybe you're someone like me. I like to kind of talk to myself through them. And so, whatever way that you can use these prompts, I encourage you to do so. This is such a powerful time. And really, the deeper invitation here is perhaps this is not the luckiest day of the year because the universe suddenly decides to favor us. Perhaps it's the fortune and fortunate because light reaches places we could not previously see. Because we finally recognize what has been draining our power. Because the heart becomes louder than expectation, because an old identity loosens its grip, because the next step becomes clear, because we become willing to receive what we once believed we had to earn through exhaustion. The full moon in Aquarius reminds us that liberation does not require isolation. The Jupiter Cazimi in Leo reminds us that visibility does not have to become performance. Pluto reminds us that true power begins beneath the surface. Sharvana reminds us to listen. And Pushya reminds us to nourish what is sacred. And the body reminds us that transformation is not merely something we understand. It is something we breathe, move, feel, and embody. This week, let breath, movement, and meditation draw upon the reservoir of energy already living inside of you. Let your body fill with life force. Let your mind settle into a deeper stillness. Let the expectations of the world grow quiet enough for you to hear the voice of your own soul. May this full moon reveal what is ready to be released. May Jupiter expand what is worthy of growth. May your leadership remain rooted in integrity. And may your light warm rather than overwhelm. May you emerge from this threshold feeling clearer, freer, and more fully yourself.